Shawn Ray made some kind of negative comments about today's bodybuilders and in particular Dexter Jackson. Now the Blade has decided to respond, taking aim at the bodybuilding legend. Let's see what he has to say. Looking into Shawn Ray. In 12 successive Mr. Olympia contests, 1990 to 2001, Ray finished in the top 5 each year, a feat made all the more remarkable by the fact that his peers always outweighed him by 50 to 60 pounds. Renowned for his symmetry, he was voted by Flex readers in 2003 as the best bodybuilder never to win Mr. Olympia. When Frank Zane won his Mr. Olympia titles, there were weight divisions in pro bodybuilding for men. In the 1980s and 90s, when Shawn Ray was at his peak, there were none. As muscular as he was, Shawn was not a big man, so he had to compete against heavyweights like Lee Haney. So he won the Arnold Classic but finished no higher than second at the Olympia. But, pound for pound, we always thought Shawn was as good as anyone, and his physique was incredibly aesthetic. He was such a good bodybuilder in part because of superior genetics, but a lot of his success was due to his own efforts. For example, his knowledge of training and his diligent application of what he knew, Shawn was demonstrating a great deal of maturity that day. That kind of dedication and discipline paid off in Shawn's career. In over 30 major bodybuilding competitions, Ray only failed once to place in the top 5. He placed in the top 5 at the Mr. Olympia competitions for 12 consecutive years, 2 of those being first runner-up finishes, and retired from competition in 2001. But after the competition, Shawn Ray has continued to be one of the most active bodybuilders in the sport. He was always known as an excellent businessman. He has used his abilities to form relationships with sponsors over the years and to become a spokesperson for bodybuilding and bodybuilding events. He's also a successful promoter of contests. More recently, he has become the editor-in-chief of Digital Muscle for Wings of Strength and is actively promoting and publicizing the Olympia weekend. There are only a few bodybuilders who have continued to be a force in the sport after retiring from competing. Arnold is, of course, the best example of this, and Linda Murray for the women. But editor-in-chief Hall of Famer, media analyst, producer, and spokesman Shawn Ray deserves special mention as a bodybuilder who has continued to give back and promote the sport that made him a legendary champion. Ray spent the better part of his career competing against some of the best bodybuilders ever. Although he did not capture the Olympia title, he was a regular in the top 5. That is why his opinion on today's generation of bodybuilders carried so much weight. On the other hand, Dexter Jackson. Dexter Jackson is an IFBB professional open division bodybuilder, former Mr. Olympia 2008. He's the winningest bodybuilder in history, an icon of the sport, and still a top competitor in open bodybuilding. Dexter Jackson earned the nickname The Blade due to his sharp look. His first NPC competition was the 1992 NPC Southern States, in which he placed third in the lightweight category. Jackson earned his pro card several years later at the 1998 North American Championships after winning the light heavyweight and overall. He competed at the Arnold Classic the very next year and placed 7th. Dexter Jackson has won more bodybuilding shows than anyone in the history of the sport, with 29 victories to his name. He won the Arnold Classic Ohio a record 5 times and defeated the reigning champion Jay Cutler in 2008 to win the Mr. Olympia title. This win made him one of the only 15 men on the planet to win the title. Not to mention, he took the title at the Masters Olympia in 2012 at age 43 after having placed 4th at that year's Olympia. What's also very impressive about Jackson's career is that he finished in the top 5 at the Mr. Olympia competition from 2002 to 2018, although he didn't participate in the 2005 contest. He also holds the record for most Olympia appearances with 20. At 49 years old, Jackson placed 4th at the prestigious Mr. Olympia competition in 2019. Dexter Jackson is one of the greatest bodybuilding of all time. His incredible genetics and work ethic have allowed him to be where he is today, with accomplishments that no man has ever achieved. Ray's comments on Dexter Jackson. While Ray was critical of everyone in this generation, he seemed to particularly go after Dexter Jackson. The bodybuilding community has come to know Ray as an outspoken figure. He speaks his mind and doesn't care about the consequences. Shawn Ray has had a number of interviews calling out other bodybuilders and their physiques. One such athlete is Dexter Jackson, who is still competing at a high level into his 50s. He made comments about how the Mr. Olympia winner would beat everyone today if he were in his prime. However, Shawn said that the prime version of Dexter was not enough to be very successful in his era. Dexter Jackson's response. Jackson caught wind of these comments and, of course, he decided to respond. Speaking with Patrick Bet David, he listened to the comments Ray made. Although at first he was hesitant to comment, he began talking and went after Ray. Dexter Jackson went on to explain that he has pictures of the last Olympia that Shawn Ray competed in. He said that he absolutely smoked Ray at that point, which is what Dexter considers his own prime. Dexter Jackson obliterates Shawn Ray. The beef between former Olympia champion Dexter Jackson and Shawn Ray seemed to be intensifying. After both men had certain interviews, it appeared that a growing rivalry is brewing. Shawn Ray was the first to be interviewed and made a bunch of criticism of individuals in the bodybuilding industry. One of those individuals was Dexter Jackson. The veteran bodybuilder made claims that Jackson wouldn't be able to compete with Shawn Ray and others of his generation. As we saw, the former Olympia champion didn't take too kindly to that. In response, Dexter Jackson gave his own interview that we just saw and stated that he would smoke Shawn Ray in the competition. Everything seemed to be spilling over and getting personal. Shawn Ray issued his own response by placing a repost of an original Strength Addicts post. The post seems to take aim at Dexter Jackson. Suffice it to say, Dexter Jackson isn't taking this lying down. The self-proclaimed 50 Cent of the bodybuilding industry took to Instagram Live and made a scathing video about Shawn Ray. In the video, Jackson reveals rumored personal information about Shawn. Dexter in his latest video called Shawn a coward and as well says Shawn is hiding behind other people who apparently are posting these photos without him knowing. Dexter insists that Shawn is jealous because he won the Mr. Olympia title plus all his 29 other victories in his career compared to the 2 victories that Shawn has won in his career. Dexter went so far as to say that Shawn is not even worthy of being inducted into the Bodybuilding Hall of Fame. Dexter decided to post comparison pictures to see what fans thought. It would appear that the vast majority of fans felt that Dexter had a better physique than Shawn. After a 30-minute rant against Shawn Ray's methods and personality, Dexter reveals that he will be publishing another video interviewing people about Shawn Ray. Why did Jackson leave bodybuilding? Jackson retired from professional bodybuilding following a 9th place finish at Mr. Olympia 2020 and has no intentions of returning to the competition. Until a few months back, Jackson maintained his beastly physique in retirement. However, he seems to have switched things up recently. Having competed for almost 3 decades, Dexter holds the distinction of winning the most professional bodybuilding titles, 29, than any other competitor in the history of the sport. His decision to downsize following retirement is a welcome move, and people wish to see more bodybuilders take the same route. In recent photos, he looks more lean and more healthy. We all have a tendency to associate our favorite bodybuilders with their onstage physique and expect them to be their athletic best at all times. However, the bodybuilding community needs to celebrate the bodybuilders that take a step back after walking away from the competition. An important factor to understand is that building muscle, working out, and being involved in any type of physical activity are good for longevity when the whole purpose is to stay fit and lead a healthy life. On the other hand, performance and longevity stop being collinear when a person puts his body through rigorous training, diet, and strenuous routine in the competitive sphere for decades. That's all for today, folks. See you next time.